एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः। सहनाववतु
ॐ सहनाववतु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा विद्विषावहै
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
We will chant the first question of Nachiketa and then go over to the second question. 1.1.20. 1.1.20. येयं प्रेते विचिकित्सा मनुष्ये
येयं प्रेते विचिकित्सा मनुष्ये
अस्तीत्येके नायमस्तीति चैके
अस्तीत्येके नायमस्तीति चैके
एतद्विद्यामनुशिष्टस्त्वयाहम्
एतद्विद्यामनुशिष्टस्त्वयाहम्
वराणामेष वरस्तृतीयः
वराणामेष वरस्तृतीयः।
See, here Nachiketa's question was very simple. All of us have that question. What happens when the body falls? What happens after death? It's a very simple question. Everybody has that in mind and we always ask. And people have different opinion about it also. But still, the reply to that is not easy. Because just if you say, yes, something is there, there will be a lot of misconceptions about it. If you say, yes, nothing is there, then also there will be a lot of misconceptions about it. And Nachiketa was aware of it. That is why he said that the truth of this I would like to learn by following the discipline, by remaining under your tutelage. That was the point where we had started yesterday. And then finally, after all the tests Yamaraja did for Nachiketa to test his purity of the mind, he proved to be an excellent seeker whose mind was absolutely pure, who had enough of the sadhana chatushtaya as I discussed yesterday, and whose mind could not be served by any of the offering from either this world or the other world. This point is actually important, although it appears to be strange, that nothing in this world as well as in the other world. Other world means we have normally the idea about heaven, hell, etc. So people are not happy having everything here. They want to reserve, after death also I should go to a place where all my desires are fulfilled. So some ideas about the heaven, that means the other world. So the knowledge, exclusive knowledge pursuit one can undertake when he is freed of the desires not only for the items of this world, but other world also. That is why Vairagya is called Ihamutra Phala Bhoga Viragaha. Iha means in this world, Amutra means other world, Phala Bhoga Viraga. That means he will not like to enjoy, he would not try to enjoy anything. His tendency to enjoy will have to be overcome. This is very important. Even those who are pursuing self-realization sadhana through meditation, contemplation, study, or whatever. This tendency to enjoy, it does not go. Right from birth, we want to enjoy something. The tendency to bhoga pravritti, it is called bhoga pravritti. As long as it is not there, the delusion about the fragmented world will not go. The real knowledge of the soul, of ourself, will not dawn. It is not possible. As long as, because why are we trying to get something from outside? Because we have a faith that will satisfy me. Whatever we are doing in life, the ultimate outcome, phala, is only that we want to be happy. That is the bhoga pravritti. Even those who are given to meditation, once they get the meditational bliss or ananda or whatever, they will repeatedly look for that again. Next day again, they would like to have the bliss. There lies the problem, because earlier he was looking for ananda in the external world. Now going into the meditation world, when he finds that from within there is greater bliss coming out, he is still interested in enjoying bhoga, in that, enjoying that ananda, enjoying that bliss. And that will prevent him from further advancement. That bhoga pravritti, unless it goes, it will not allow him to progress further. Because that is based on our delusion of separate existence. How can it be? Because if I am universal, everything is appearing in me, then why should I run after anything, run away from anything? So it is contradictory there. That is why until we are freed of the bhoga pravritti, we cannot have the real knowledge of self. Now, yesterday we had discussed the last shloka before the second question of Nachiketa, that is 1.2.13, where I said that finally Yamaraja gave a big certificate to Nachiketa that the Brahma sadhana is wide open before you. That means the sadhana chatushtaya you have acquired, the qualities you have acquired, the knowledge needs to be told. That's all. You will be able to grasp immediately. That was where we stopped. Now, after that, Nachiketa says that, in a way that, well, I am not interested in the certificate you are giving, Yamaraja. You please tell me what I want to know. Suppose there is a meaning in it, because when the Guru praises the disciple, most of the cases the disciple become elated. And he feels that I am great, I am the best disciple, I am a very good disciple. And his progress stops there. Actually, in Guru's praising as well as admonishing, it is only meant for enthusing the disciple and making him to correct his defects. When he is criticizing a disciple, it is not because he hates the disciple. There is no hatred there. There is no intolerance. He corrects the disciple. He criticizes or points out the defects of the disciple so that he can go forward. So, the ninda stuti, ninda means some bad qualities to be pointed out, and stuti means praising some good qualities. Ninda stuti from the Guru, they are actually to encourage the disciple to have the good qualities more. So, to encourage the good qualities of the disciple and to discourage his bad qualities, that they have to be eliminated. There lies the point. So, Nachiketa is quite aware of it. He has been praised by Yamaraja, but he is saying that I am not interested in that. You have given the certificate, okay, but I still stick to my question, what I wanted to know. But this time he is putting forward the question in a very erudite manner, which shows that he already had enough of theoretical knowledge of it. Why I am saying theoretical knowledge of it? Because he is still he has come to Yamaraja to realize the truth. That means he did not have the realization, but he had a very good idea about the truth. That is apparent, absolutely clear from his question, the question he asked. This question we will try to take by heart. It's very important. This is in 1.2.14. 14. The next verse. 1.2.14. This also I have done earlier, I am repeating actually. Anyatra dharmad, anyatra dharmat.
Anyatra dharmad, anyatra dharmat.
Anyatra smat krita kritat.
Anyatra smat krita kritat.
Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha.
Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha.
Yattat pashyasi tadvada.
Yattat pashyasi tadvada.
Anyatra dharmad, anyatra dharmat.
Anyatra dharmad, anyatra dharmat.
Anyatra smat krita kritat.
Anyatra smat krita kritat.
Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha.
Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha.
Yattat pashyasi tadvada.
Yattat pashyasi tadvada.
He says that Yattat pashyasi tadvada. If you see anything like this, you tell me about this. Like what? Those are the previous words. Dharmad anyatra. That means whatever we know to be dharma, it can be generally the moral codes, or when we speak in terms of the Vedas, whatever is supported by the Vedas, the Vedic karmas, whatever we do, those are the dharmas, the approved by the Vedas. Or generally we can think of the moral codes of what is right and what is wrong, the papa and punya, both. Punya means whatever is supported by the Vedas, whatever has been prescribed by the Vedas, such are the dharmas. Dharmat anyatra means which is different from the moral codes or different from the dharma, different from punya karma. Adharmat anyatra. Not only that, which is different from immoral also, different from whichever is forbidden in the Vedas also. That is, I want to know something which transcends the codes, the moral codes of dharma, adharma. See, dharma and adharma also forms a duality. This is dharma, this is adharma. So the ultimate truth, which is hosting both dharma and adharma, it has to be transcending dharma and adharma, transcending the duality of dharma and adharma. Otherwise, we will not be able to reach there. Those who stick to only dharma and hate adharma, they will not be able to transcend it. You need not take to adharma, but you cannot hate adharma. You have to understand that adharma also, as long as it is there in the universe, it has got its place. You need not become adharmic, but you need not support adharma also, but you cannot hate. You have to give its provision in the world. Then only you will have a mind which can transcend beyond dharma and adharma to understand the sustainer, the host of both dharma and adharma. So everything in the Upanishad you will find that they are trying to take our mind to transcendence, beyond duality, because the truth is always beyond duality, beyond all fragmentation. Dharmad anyatra, adharmat anyatra. Then he says, anyatra asmat krita kritat. Krita kritat means krita akrita, that means the cause and the effect. In this world, whatever we are seeing, everything is within the fold of causality. Everything is run by causality. Even some are gross causality, external as you see. There are subtle causalities also in the mind that we do not see always, but there are also the causality works in the mind, in the intelligence. Everywhere causality is there. There are gross causalities, there are subtle causalities. But the truth, which is the sustainer of everything that we see, it has to transcend causality. I have said it many times earlier also, that if we want to know the absolute truth or the ultimate truth, it has to be by definition beyond causality. Because by causality you cannot reach. Suppose you find out B to be the cause of A, then naturally the question will be, how did B come? So you will ask, and then replyably C is the cause of B, suppose. Then the question will be, then how did C come? This causality will make you question till the end. Suppose you have gone to Z, the question will be, how did Z come? We say that God has created the universe. It is only a primary level satisfactory answer. But a free mind will ask, then who has created God? As long as we are considering God as a cosmic intelligence or anything in the objective sphere, in the ken of objectude, the question will be there, who has created God? A child may often ask, if you say that God has created this world, he may ask that then who created God? He will not be able to answer. Actually, the absolute truth by definition has to be beyond this causality, because causality will take us to, it is called infinite regression. That means unending, going backward, backward, backward. In Sanskrit we call it anavastha dosha. That means it will not give you a fundamental support on which you can build everything. If you go down the chain, it will never end. You can go to any level, any extent. So, if at all there is anything called absolute truth, it has to be beyond causality. See how Nachiketa could understand so much. Even the scientists do not understand. They still look for the causal. But the absolute truth cannot be causal. That is why after getting fed up, our rishis started looking within. Before trying to understand the cause of this world, I am perceiving the world. The whole world, I am perceiving, I am producing the theory. It is I who is forming a model of the universe, model of science, everything. So, to know the absolute truth, first of all, I have to know about my perception. Who am I who is looking at the world? And how is my perceptions, how are my perceptions taking place? When they looked within, they found that the whole universe appears in his consciousness, in the mind. And farther down when you go to that universal level of that I, where even the body-mind personality that I am, it is part of the nature, the whole universe. My body-mind personality is a product of nature. So it is a small speck in the whole universe. The whole universe which contains my body-mind personality as a small speck is appearing in my consciousness. Mine in the consciousness, because we cannot call it my consciousness. My body-mind personality is also a small speck in the whole universe which is appearing in the consciousness. Then can I call the consciousness is within the body? Or the body is in the consciousness. So we cannot call it my consciousness. It is the consciousness. That is the real I. They found out that is the truth. And the whole purpose, answer to this creation also, it just simply appears in consciousness. The entire material creation is following the causality, but the gross matter, subtle matter, mind, everything is only an appearance in the consciousness. So he is saying that if you know anything beyond causality, anyatra asmat krita kritat, beyond the krita and akrita, cause and effect chain, you tell me about that. Third line, anyatra bhutat cha bhavyat cha. Bhuta means past and bhavya means future. That means he is saying that if you know something which transcends past and future, that means transcending time also. Because time also is within the ken of our mind. Time and causality are together. Whatever precedes in time, we call it cause. Whatever follows in time, we call it the effect. So time and causality are completely binding to each other. They are tagged to each other. So what is beyond causality will have to be beyond time also. Time is also a concept of our mind. So his question is, if you see anything which is beyond the code of Vedic dharma and adharma, or code of morality, good and bad, if you know anything which is beyond causality and beyond time, you tell me about that. Why he has not mentioned about the present, he has mentioned about past and future. Because truly speaking, there is no present. If you measure the time in a small manner, suppose you measure nanosecond, Then 1 nanosecond back is past, and 1 nanosecond forward is bhavishya. You can reduce the present to any level depending on your measurement. You can go to picosecond and further also. 10 to the power minus 12 seconds, 10 to the power minus 24 seconds. As much as you can measure, as small as you can measure. That much will be the present. So the limit, what is, those who know calculus will know. What is the limit of the present? It is 0. The future and past, if you say, it is enough. So it is beyond time, is what he meant. So everything which is transcending causality, time, that which is transcending causality, time, and the moral code of good and bad, papa, punya, etc. If you know anything like that, you tell me. Which makes us think that Nachiketa already had the idea that the truth of the soul is beyond all those things. He knew about it, but he did not have the full realization of it. That is why he is asking. Immediately we will remember that in Mundakopanishad, which I have explained in another lecture, that after Shaunaka goes to Angiras and asks his question was, these are very important because the Upanishads are based on the question. In Shaunaka's case, he was a mature householder, very good householder. He lived his life properly. So naturally, he became dispassionate. After he has lived his life properly, he had only the eagerness to know the truth. So he left everything and went to Angiras and asked, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati iti? Oh sir, by knowing what, everything will become known. He did not ask how my grandson will get a good job, or my son will go to the USA for a better job, or how I can retain my buildings, all the 14 buildings, or anything like that. What was his question? Or how can I remain without any disease? Nothing like that. He asked, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati iti? By knowing what, everything will become known. In reply to that, Angiras, the first shloka he says is this one, where the entire truth is given. That is the way of the Shastras. After giving the final truth, they will again start step by step from a lower level and make our mind, prepare our mind to accept to grasp the truth. That is the way. Mundakopanishad, he said in the 6th, this is 1.1.6 in Mundakopanishad, he says, Yattadadreshyamagrahyamagotramavarnam achakshushrotram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tadavyayam yat bhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. See, there also it is ending with paripashyanti dhiraha. Dhiraha paripashyanti. Here he is asking Yamaraja that you see. See means not with the eyes, with your internal bodha, buddhi, prajna, what you see. There also, the dhiras, the wise people, they see, not with their eyes, but with their buddhi, bodha, prajna, they see. What do they see? Yat tad adreshyam, agrahyam, agotram, avarnam. Sanskrit is so, it is unimaginably great. In just one word, they express everything. Such a half the line. Adreshyam means which cannot be seen. Actually, when they say cannot be seen means cannot be heard, cannot be sensed, cannot be smelled, all the 5 indriyas. That is, which cannot be perceived by the 5 senses of perception. Yat tat adreshyam, which is adreshyam, cannot be perceived by the 5 senses. Agrahyam, which cannot be handled by the 5 karmendriyas, cannot be grasped or handled by touched by the 5 karmendriyas, the organs of action. Agotram, gotra is the lineage, which does not have any lineage. What does it mean? Which is beyond causality. Lineage नहीं है का अर्थ क्या है? Causal chain नहीं है उसमें. Which is beyond causality, which transcends causality. Agotram avarnam, which does not have any color at all. Because which has already a color will not be able to host the other colors. Suppose something is black, can it become red, green? If something is red, it cannot become green, blue. So, the one which is hosting all the colors has to be avarnam. Moreover, what is the varna doing? Because of the color, we are able to fragment the world. See that one, differentiate one from the other. It is because of the color. I will add further, it may not be always color, it is the refractive index also. That is kind of a color. Say everything is colorless, transparent. You can see the colorless glass different from the air because the refractive index is different. That also let us consider as a color. That is which can be, that is the world gets fragmented by in our vision because of its color. So it is beyond all such fragmentation. That is the first word. That is, it does not have any of the the properties of an object which makes it perceptible. So forget about perceiving with our sense perceptions or working with it with our karmendriyas. Nothing, or analyzing it with causality. None of these are possible there. The truth. Then what is the next line? Achakshushtrotram tadapanipadam. It does not have the eyes, ears, hands or feet. The first one was vastu guna varjita. That means it does not have the properties of an object which can be perceived. The second one is kartri bhoktri guna varjita. That we are the karta and bhokta with our indriyas, our sense organs as well as karmendriyas, our organs of action. Those also he does not have. Achakshuhu shrotram tad apani padam. भगवान कुछ नहीं करते हैं, एकदम सीधा बैठे रहते, जैसे जगन्नाथ देखते हैं ना, हाथ काटा हुआ है, पैर भी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, खाली केवली भावा. दैट इज व्हाट भगवान does. So nityam means he does not undergo any change at all, always the same. Vibhum means जो all kinds of forms who is hosting, who can become everything. Vibhida bhati, vibhida bhavati iti vibhu. The one which becomes many, as appearing as many, that is called vibhum. Nityam vibhum sarvagatam, which is all-pervading. Actually, we are saying all-pervading. It is not so true. It is more than that. Because all is appearing in that. That everything we say of, they are all appearing in the consciousness. Not that the all are there and the consciousness is permeating. So you have to always read between the lines to get to the truth. All pervading means all is existing and it is percolating in them as air is percolating in us everywhere. Or energy is percolating. It is not an object like that. Everything that we know of is appearing in the consciousness. That is why we are calling it Sarvagatam. But Sarvagatam means it cannot be missed anywhere. We don't have to go to the heaven or to the yonder sky to find out the truth there, or the Atma there, or the Brahman there. It is right within us. Sarvagatam susukshmam. It is subtler than the subtlest. Now, whenever we say subtle, subtler, etc., we are thinking in terms of objective terms. That air is subtler than the table, the space is subtler than air. Like that, whatever we see, whatever we interact with, our idea is always in terms of the objects of perception. But by saying susukshmam, they are saying it is beyond such comparative sukshmata, comparative subtlety also, because it is not an object. As you can say that the space is subtler than air, the air is subtler than water, the water is subtler than ice, like that you can say. In this case you cannot, because everything is appearing in this. It is a subjective subtlety. Nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tad avyayam yad bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhiraha. Now here comes the greatest point. Tat avyayam yat bhuta yonim. Bhuta yonim means which is the source of the entire objectude, entire universe. Everything objective is born out of that. Yoni means source, where from womb, from which the whole universe is coming. Bhuta yonim means the womb of the objective universe. But what kind of a womb? Avyayam. Avyayam means it does not undergo any change. Can any source produce everything without undergoing any change in the material can. When the sun is radiating the light to us, its hydrogen is getting converted into helium. The hydrogen is depleting. So the sun is getting changed in the process. The proportion of hydrogen and helium in the sun is getting changed every time. So it is not abhyayam, it is changeful. Any source you think of in the material creation which is following causality, the cause is undergoing a change. When it produces the effect, the cause is no longer available. It is different. It is always undergoing change. Here he is saying, but this entire material universe cannot come from such a cause, because that will again be within the material universe, if it is a material cause. So it has to be a cause, so-called cause, from where the whole universe is appearing without producing any change in the cause. Now it is not a causal srishti, that is the meaning. If you say that is the cause, then again you will look for the cause of that. So it is not a material cause. We call it vivarta srishti. Vivarta means apparential srishti. That means the whole universe simply appears. You cannot call it the cause. Actually it is the substratum on which the universe appears to be. So in the first shloka itself in Mundakopanishad, that is 6th shloka of first section, he has expressed what is the kind of the ultimate truth. Now to realize such a truth, what will be the necessary sadhana for us? That we have to be attentive about. This is all beyond all our usual objective concepts. So what will be the sadhana? We have to go beyond all the clinging we have to the objective world. So it needs a great shuddhi of our mind, intellect, intelligence, partly body also. Everything has to be purified. Without this, shuddhi is not equal to a sharpness of the buddhi. Well, sharpness of the buddhi is necessary, perhaps. But with the sharpness, you can go to any objective level of microscopic this, that and all, many things you can make out. But to transcend this ken of objectude, and finally the ken of the duality, where subject-object difference also is not there, it will not be possible with a desireful mind. There the shuddhi means desirelessness. Until the desirelessness goes, until the desires go, the mind will not be able to realize it, actualize the truth. That is the purpose. Then he starts step by step again. This is what it is, Mundakopanishad. Now here when Nachiketa asks this question, it is apparent that Nachiketa knows about it. He has learnt about it, but he has not realized. So he asks Yamaraja how to realize the truth. Then after that Nachiketa Yamaraja straight away starts his gospel from the shloka Sarve Vedayat Padama Mananti Tapamsi Sarvani Chayad Vadanti Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Bravimi Om Ityetad. These I have discussed in the earlier session, so I will not go into the details of it. Then I ended in 1.2.20, I said. That shloka we will chant. I have done it earlier, but again we will start from here. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan
Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam
Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan
Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam
Atmasya jantor nihito guhayam
Tamakratuh pashyati vitashoko
Tamakratuh pashyati vitashoko
Dhatu prasadan mahimanamatmanah
Dhatu prasadan mahimanamatmanah
Tamakratuh pashyati vitashoko
Tamakratuh pashyati vitashoko
Dhatu prasadan mahimanam
Dhatu prasadan mahimanam.
So, right in the beginning, he is giving the hint that how to actualize this truth, how to attain this truth. He says, Anoho aniyan. Anu means very sukshma, very subtle. Atom actually it is, but here it is not atom, it means extremely subtle. Anoho aniyan. That means whatever subtle you can think of, it is still subtler than that. That is what we meant when we said that it is not an objective subtlety. Any amount of subtle objective thing you may think of, the space is the subtlest. It is still subtler than that. Because the space, the concept of space is in our mind. Concept of space is in our mind. Space is an appearance in our consciousness. So, Anoho aniyan, Mahato mahiyan. Not only it is like that, it is greater than the greatest. However big you may think of, it is bigger than that. No, it is not like that. The universe is the biggest you are thinking of, it is still bigger than that. No, not in that objective sense. The whole universe is hosted by it. It is supported, sustained by it. So it is Mahato Mahiyan. It is greater than the greatest. So everywhere we have to transcend our objective concepts. But for that, how then can we realize it? It is subtler than the subtlest, greater than the greatest. Then what do we have to become to realize such a thing? Is it then not possible to realize it? We are only speaking about it? That will be the question. We are only speaking about some qualities which cannot be realized. He says, no. Asya jantor nihito guhayam. Jantoho guhayam nihitaha. You don't have to go anywhere at all. My dear Nachiketa, it is seated in your own, in the cavern of your heart. In the cavern of your heart. So, leaving all the external things, you have to go within, which you are not able to go. That is why you are not able to actualize it. So, although it is subtler than the subtlest, greater than the greatest, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to become bigger or subtler or anything. But you have to get to your pristine, inmost self, which is hidden in the cavern of your heart. Atma asya jantor nihito guhayam. Atma means aham pratyaya gocharaha. Atma is defined as aham pratyaya gocharaha, which is known by the amness in us. By the amness in us. So, he is saying that is the Atma. The Brahman, which is the source of the universe, it is not bigger than your Atma or anything of that sort. It is right in your heart. That is your, which you are calling I throughout the day. I am sorry, I am suffering, I am happy. All those things. As a puny I, we are always behaving, not knowing the real dimension of that I. It is the source, it is the substratum of the entire universe. And that is right within you, not even closest to you. That you are. So if you can leave your tendency to always go out and look for something else, you will not be able to attain it. Why are we missing it? Because our tendency is always to look for something different from me. Right from birth, what are we doing? Looking for something, looking for something. In meditation, what are we doing? Looking for the self, looking for the self. At a self you are. If you look for the self, you will never get the self. By looking for the self, you are only creating the difference with the self. So you are missing the self. It is self-defeating effort. By your effort, you are always trying to go out. So you are missing the self there. That is what he is pointing out. It is right within the cavern of your heart. It is your Atma, which you are always referring to as I, not knowing its real nature or dimension. Tamakratu pashyati vita shoko dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. How do you come to know the glory of the Atma, this Atma, that what is your real Atma, the real I, your real identity? How do you know it? Dhatu prasadat. This is what I wanted to emphasize. Dhatu prasadat means by the purification of the elements of your being. Dhatu means the elements of our being. by the purification, by the placidity of the elements of our being. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 64, 2.64. Bhagavad Gita 2.64. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyishcharan atmavashair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. He says that when we are freed of the ragadvesha, don't forget ragadvesha, I said, raga is clinging to what I like, not what I like. Like and dislike will be there. Clinging to what I like is the raga, and dvesha means hating what I dislike. Not that we will not like good things and we will not dislike bad things. That likes and dislikes will be there. But if we cling to the likes and hate the dislikes, that is the raga dvesha. And the whole Bhagavad Gita is based on how to get rid of the raga dvesha. That is the focus of Bhagavad Gita. The whole basis of samatva is the freedom from raga dvesha. So, ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyishcharan. A person who is freed of the ragadvesha, he freely moves around in this objective world, interacting with all the objects, every situation of the world. Atma vashair vidheyatma. But he is not a slave to the worldly situation. There comes the difference. He moves in the same world, interacts with the same world. Maybe he is living in a palace or on the street, but he is not slave to the surroundings. He is not slave to the situation he is facing. He is Atmavashyayihi. He is Atmavash. Atmavash means he is under the guidance of his self. He is anchored in his real identity. So he never becomes slave to the external objects. Vidheya Atma. His guidance, his discipline is coming from within. He interacts with the objects, but with a discipline which is not an outer control, external control, but an inner sublimation, inner discipline, which flows from his anchorage in his real soul, real identity. What happens to him? Prasadam adhigacchati. His mind, his whole being attains prasada. That is the real prasada we talk about. You go to a saint and a material prasada is given. That is only to fool you. The material prasada is only a vehicle. What he wants to give is this prasada. The placidity of the mind. That is called prasada. That prasada, what one gets is not happiness as you think. That always he will be laughing and cheerful. No, a knower will not be like that. He will have this prasada always. This prasada becomes constant for him. This prasada will be there in sukha as well as in dukkha. In both the situations he will have prasada. In dukkha he will not howl. He may shed tears, but still he will feel the prasada within. In happiness he will be cheerful, but he will not be elated. He will have the prasada still at that point also. So this is the prasada which Upanishad says, dhatu prasadat mahimanam atmanaha. He comes to actualize, realize the self out of the prasada generated in his being. Dhatu prasada, his elements of his being becomes placid, becomes purified, and that makes the realization complete. That is whatever we have covered earlier in other section. This is the first verse we are starting. That is 1.2.21. Asino duram vrajati.
Asino duram vrajati.
Shayano yati sarvatah.
Shayano yati sarvatah.
Kastam madamadam deva. Devam.
Kastam madamadam devam.
Madanyo jnatumarhati.
Madanyo jnatumarhati.
Asino duram vrajati.
Asino duram vrajati.
Shayano yati sarvatah.
Shayano yati sarvataha.
Kastam madamadam devam
Kastam madamadam devam
madanyo jyatumarhati.
madanyo jnatumarhati.
He says now about the soul, that is our real identity, what we are. Now, whenever anything is described, we will think that soul is like this, it is doing like this, it is doing that. Say, asinam duram brajati, which means when it is seated, it goes far off places. Duram brajati, it goes around, walks around in far off places. We will immediately think of soul being some objective situation, somebody who is sitting and going around everywhere. It is not possible. It is not in that sense. It is not possible for an object. When it is sitting here, it is moving outside, means it is contradictory. So the Upanishad is deliberately using a contradictory language to caution you. When you try to imagine the truth of it, you will not be able to. So you will have to think that it is not like the things we are imagining. It is different from that. Asino duram brajati. When seated, it goes everywhere. Shayano yati sarvataha. When it is sleeping or lying, it goes everywhere. So both are contradictory. Now what happens when we are seated? Cannot our mind go everywhere? So at least we can think in that term that, well, we are seated, but the mind goes everywhere. So it is something subtle like that. And when we are sleeping, or suppose when we are not sleeping, even dreaming, it creates the whole world of its own. And when we are sleeping, then the whole universe has submerged, has got merged in it. There is no sensation, no signal at all. So you can call it everywhere it has gone. That everywhere is getting born from there. So they are taking the example of the actual perception we have. When we are seeing the objective world also, what we are actually perceiving, is it that, or is it the objective world which is appearing in my mind? That is, in the mind, something is appearing as external and something is appearing as internal. Is it not so? Suppose you are thinking of your mother. Immediately the mother's picture will come, your conversation with the mother will come in. That is all inside you know, because the external signals are there. But this externality and internality all are in your mind. We say that the Bhahyakasha, the objective sphere, is nothing but a part of the Chittakasha. Chittakasha means the sphere, the sky of the inner sky of the mind. That Bhahyakasha and Chittakasha, both are actually in Chittakasha. That is, some are appearing as inside the body, as mind, emotion, intelligence, etc. Some are appearing as external. Our body also is an external thing we are perceiving within the mind, inside. And actually all these together, they are appearing in the Chidakasha, we say, the real identity, the consciousness, there it is appearing. Now, if the external universe also, which we are perceiving finally, is inside the mind, then is it not similar to the production of the dream? Dream is what we are perceiving. Now, if you think of daydreaming, that you are interacting here, suppose you have not slept well, so the class is going on, it is the signals are coming, but slowly you doze off. Immediately something at home, whatever happened, it comes to your mind. Actually, those thoughts are going on in your mind. Suppose while listening to the lecture also, your mind is thinking of your office. So the office picture interactions are continuing in your mind. But because the external signal is there, you know that I am thinking and these are the external signal. By the moment you doze off, the external signals are not coming anymore. So that becomes the reality. The internal signal becomes the reality. There is no difference. The external signals have gone, the internal thing has become the whole reality there. So it is only to say that the real appearance that we are interacting with is actually appearing in the consciousness, and there is no causality, no time factor at all. Why? You may say that I thought about my mother and then my mother appeared in my mind. Is it so? the thinking and the mother's appearance will be together. You cannot say that this happened first. You may try to say that the mother appeared and then I started thinking. It is not so. It is together. There is no causal factor there. The consciousness can simply show the universe and dissolve it also, because it is not bound by the material causality. Tad avyayam yat bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhiraha. The whole universe is appearing in the consciousness. So, asinam duram vrajati shayano yati sarvataha kastam madamadam devam. He is saying, what else? This Atma or this soul, which remains when the body falls also. He is talking about that. Slowly he will reveal that. That it is when you have the body and you don't have the body, there is no change in the soul at all. Because the soul is not affected, not touched by any properties of the body. Because the body is in the material plane. It is not touched by it. That is what he is going to say. So he is saying that it is Devam. Devam means Divdhatu. That means the brilliance. It is the original brilliance. Even sun we say is Devam. But sun is illuminating everything. But without our consciousness, can we see the sun? The ultimate revealer is not the sun. The ultimate revealer is our soul, our I, our consciousness. That is revealing everything. So the real Deva is our own consciousness, the I within us. So that is the I. That is the consciousness. That is the revealer of the entire external universe as well as the internal universe. Why I say external as well as internal? These microphone, these people, everything is revealed finally by the consciousness. And also the thoughts, emotions, all the concepts, ideals, everything is revealed by that consciousness. Is it not so? So this is the final revealer of the external world as well as the internal world. He says it is not only Devam, it is Madamadam. Mada means which will produce joy, the joyous. And Amada means joyless. Both are this. So we are always preferring Sukha than to Dukkha. That preference will go. That clinging to Sukha and hating Dukkha will go. When we understand both Sukha Dukkhas are only a writing on the consciousness. He is hosting both Mada and Amada. He is hosting the joy as well as the joyless. Both are hosted by him, by the soul. So when we understand that Sukha is a vritti in my real I, and Dukkha is also a vritti in that I, then everything gets converted into I. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yo Arjuna sukham va yadiva dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. That yogi is the supreme. Bhagavad Gita says. It is not ordinary samatva. That siddha siddha samabhutva it is defined. And we think that, in success I will not be overjoyed, in failure I will not be depressed. It is just the beginning point. The samatva of Bhagavad Gita has to be taken to that ultimate level. To become the parama yogi, sayogi paramo mataha. Who? Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yo Arjuna. Where he sees the entire universe, nothing but the soul, nothing but the Atma, nothing but the consciousness. Sukham va yadiva dukkham. Both are Sukha and Dukkha, both are formations in that consciousness. So that their poisonous teeth are no more there. Sukha will not elate you, Dukkha will not depress you. In Dukkha you may shed tears, in Sukha you may smile, but in the both case you will have the prasada. That is the real samatva Bhagavad Gita speaks about. Our Rabindranath Thakur has sung, Jeke ho more diyecho sukho, diyecho tari purichaya, shabare ami nomi. Jeke ho more diyecho dukho, diyecho tari purichaya, shabare ami nomi. That those who have given me happiness, through that happiness they have given me the touch of you, O Lord. So I prostrate before them. And those who have given me dukkha, suffering, through the suffering they have given me the touch of you, O Lord. So I prostrate before them also. Do you understand? This is what will happen. So he says, Madamadam Devam. So what are the qualities? Asino duram vrajati, shayano yati sarvataha, kastam madamadam devam, Madanyoho jnatumarhati. Now, this portion can be interpreted in two manners. He says that the direct meaning, as it is translated there, you will find that who other than me can know this kind of a brilliance, or the revealer, the Deva, the Mahatma, or the soul. Who can know other than me? Yamaraja is saying, who else than me can know such a soul? Ordinary buddhi will not be able to understand. So Yamaraja is saying, only when you prepare your buddhi to be the viveka buddhi, not the vishaya buddhi, only when you purify your mind to get rid of all kinds of fragmentation, affectation, ragadvesha, basically ragadvesha, free your mind of ragadvesha and free your buddhi of the vishaya buddhi, make it viveka buddhi, only then such a person will be able to know. So Yamaraja takes himself as the example that who else than me can know such a thing. So I am a fit teacher for you, Nachiketa, to tell you about this, is what he is saying. The other meaning is madanyo jnatumarhati. That is mat anyaha. Anything different from me can know. This truth cannot be known as anything different from me. It can only be known as the amness. Anybody knowing the truth, it is not that I have known the soul. It can only be known as the amness in us. So that meaning also can be given here. That is a absolutely true meaning. That madanyaha jnatumarhati. Who can know it as different from me? Anybody trying to know this must know it as the amness. So people say that one day science will be able to discover this. No, it will not. It is not within the ken of science. Science, what do you call it? The postulate. It is dealing with the objective world, not with the subject. So it will come very close to it where he is finding that the objects cannot be known fully without the subject involvement to that extent. And it is something like this, as we say, probability wave or anything. Those things can happen. But to know it actually, it can only be known as the amness in us. It is not for an objective process to discover. And that can be established through arguments also, through logic also. When the logic transcends the duality, it can be. Once more we will chant this. Asino duram vrajati.
Asino duram vrajati.
Shayano yati sarvataha.
Shayano yati sarvataha.
Kastam madamadam devam.
Kastam madamadam devam.
Madanyo jnatumarhati.
Madanyo jnatumarhati.
Next verse. Ashariram sarireshu.
Ashariram sharireshu.
Anavastheshvavasthitam.
Anavastheshvavasthitam.
Mahantam vibhumatmanam.
Mahantam vibhumatmanam.
Matva dhiro na shochati.
Matva dhiro na shochati.
Ashariram sharireshu.
Ashariram sharireshu.
Anavastheshvavasthitam.
Anavastheshvavasthitam.
Mahantam vibhumatmanam.
Mahantam vibhumatmanam.
Matva dhiro na shochati.
Matva dhiro na shochati.
See, repeatedly here comes na shochati, shokati go bhavati, etc. This shoka has to go. With this realization, the shoka has to go. Shoka means not suffering. Dukkha and shoka, there is difference. Sukha dukkhe same kritva. That one has to remain equal in sukha and dukkha. Suppose dukkha is not there, then what is the meaning of remaining equal in sukha dukkha? That means dukkha is there. Suffering and happy situation, both will be there. But you have to maintain the samatva there, and you will have the samatva vision there, because both are taking place in the Atma, in the consciousness. But shoka should not be there. In dukkha, we start grieving, as Arjuna was doing. That is called shoka. It is depression. it is lamentation, depression, grieving. That should not be there. That comes from the ego. If you want to pinpoint the ego, when in suffering you have prasada, you shed tears, but you have prasada, then it is not egoistic action. But if you start howling, why me, oh Lord, why it has happened to me, and you howl and you cry and all that, then it is the ego. Your mind is restricted within your own gains and losses, your own selfish things. But when the mind is not there, you will shed tears for so many other things also, the sufferings of the world. You will profusely shed tears, but never get small by that. Anything that constricts us is the ego. In suffering also our mind will expand. It will become deeper. It will expand farther than in a case of happiness. The suffering takes us to a deeper level. So there the prasada will be there. Now here he says, Ashariram sharireshu. This Atma does not have sharira. He is trying to correct, because all of us, Nachiketa also must be having the idea that when the body falls, the soul will come out and go to another body or so. So the Upanishad is not speaking about that soul. He is speaking about the ultimate truth, our real identity. If at all the soul goes out from a sharira to another sharira, then it is all having a limited body association there. It is limited in space, because you say that it was there in one body and now it has gone to another body. If it is so, moving like this, it is for science to discover one day. That soul, if at all it is there, science will discover one day. That's a subtle energy or subtle something going from here to there. It is not for the spiritualist to deal with. Spiritual soul is not objective, it is subject. So it is remaining in the body, expressing through the body. It is bodiless. It is transcending body. Here Ashariram means it does not have a body, which greater meaning is which transcends the bodily association. It is, we give the example, suppose there is a Delhi radio station, the radio waves are propagating. They are here also, but we don't come to know them. When we tune a radio and the sound comes out, we listen to it as something objective there. The moment the circuit breaks in the radio or the transistor, immediately the sound has gone. So it is like the death of the body. The transistor has become dead now. But has anything happened to the radio waves passing through that? It is closest. Any illustration will take us to a close, although it is an objective illustration. But it takes our mind to imagine, makes our mind easy to imagine, makes it easy for the mind to imagine what kind of thing it could be. Suppose the electricity, nobody sees the electricity. It is appearing as light, it is appearing as fan, it is appearing as sound. All those things we are seeing. But what is the electricity? It does not have any such. The same electricity is being used in different forms everywhere. Similarly, suppose in the sea or river or a tank, millions of waves are there, and the moon is getting reflected by each wave. Is it not? You are seeing millions of moons there, and each moon is dancing. In what manner? As the wave dances. Is it not? Even if the wave has a color, the moon will have that color also. The way it is dancing, the moon will dance like that. The moment the wave vanishes, subsides, that moon is gone. But is it the real moon? Do we start crying that the moon, I have lost the moon, I have lost the moon, because the reflection in the wave has gone? Because we know that the real moon is there. Like that, the soul also is getting manifest through the different bodies. And it is appearing to be different. That Ashish's soul is different from Sadhanaji's soul, appearing to be. Because of the bodily association, the soul, there is no difference at all. And there is no fragmentation also. It is appearing to be fragmented, it is appearing to be having different colors, different associations because of the body association, body-mind association. But the real pristine soul is not limited by anything at all. So this ashariram sharireshu, you can go on thinking about in various ways. I give often an example, so many times I have given, there is a diagram also, that Suppose the sunlight is coming from the top. Everywhere it's parallel rays coming down. Now you put a small mirror on the path of the ray. There will be a reflected beam from the mirror. With that reflected beam, if you turn the mirror, you can see the world with that. And that reflected beam will have the property of the mirror also. Suppose the mirror is colored, then the reflected beam will be colored. If the mirror is not plain, it is distorted, then you will see some distortion over whatever you are seeing also. So it is taking the quality of the mirror. Is it not? Now suppose the mirror starts thinking that this reflected wave is originating from me. Do you get my point? The mirror starts thinking that this reflected beam is originating from within me. Is the mirror right? No. Because original beam is from there. And what happens when the mirror breaks? The reflected beam is gone. It is not there. But has anything happened to the beam coming down? It is exactly like that. You think of millions of mirrors placed in that light. Each is having its own reflected beam. And each is seeing the world in its own manner. And when one mirror breaks, nothing happens to the original beam. So it is for the reflected beam, that is our consciousness, we generally feel our I to be. It is the egoistic I we feel that limited to our body, mind, personality. Now that consciousness has to know that I am not originating from here. The real consciousness is from there. How do you do it? You have to turn the mirror towards the original light. When it is perpendicular to the original light, the beam, the reflected light gets merged with the original light. That is gone. Reflected light is gone. Is it not? So here also what do we have to do? With our consciousness which we feel to be I am, that has to be turned inward to find out where from that I is coming. Mark my word, it's very important. If you can succeed in doing it, then you will get into the real samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. And the solution also you will get immediately. That is, you are turning the beam towards the original light. In our case, what are we doing in meditation? We are trying to focus the consciousness not outside, not on our body, mind also, not on our intelligence, our emotion also, but who is the revealer of the mind, who is the revealer of the thoughts, who is the revealer of the intelligence, who is the revealer of the external world, who is the revealer? I am the revealer. So we want to rotate it and focus it on itself. When you are able to turn it fully, then you don't see the world, including your own image, nothing is there, but you become the consciousness, the truth, the soul. At that time there is no world. And don't think that the world will vanish and you will see that the world is not there. You are part of the world. When the world goes, your body, mind, personality also will not be there. It will all be consciousness and consciousness alone. So, ashariram sharireshu anavastheshu avasthitam. Whatever is temporary, fluctuating, in that, it is the real sustainer, the permanent. It amongst the temporary things, the fragmented things of the world, it is the non-fragmented, permanent. Ashariram sharireshu anavastheshu avasthitam mahantam. That is the real mahanta. Mahanta means the great end. All our end is not mahantam. We die like small matyaha, as Kathopanishad says again and again. We are fearful of death because the body is dying. So it is matyaha. But mahanta you become when before dying you become infinite. The death, you transcend the death. Is it not so? Our Rishi says, Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani tasthuhu vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat. Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani tasthuhu vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat tameva viditvati mrityumeti Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. He says, ye all, listen. You are all children of immortality. Our rishis could sing. How? Because of their experimental discovery, not by the theory, argument and all. We are trying to convince through many illustrations, many argument, logic, causality, this, that and all. All these are on the mental level. Unless we experimentally discovered the truth, if they had not discovered the truth experimentally, they would not have been able to sing with so much of force and determination and announce to the whole world that you are all children of immortality. He didn't say that I am child of immortality, you are all small. No. Everybody is a child of immortality. You are all children of immortality. Oh, you here, all in the whole world, not only in India, but anywhere in the world. You are all children of immortality. Even he says, Aye dhamani divyani tastuhu. Even if there is a heaven or hell, and those who are denizens of the heaven or hell, they are also children of immortality. Because there is nothing other than that immortal self at all. That alone is there. The whole other things are only appearing in that. Vedahametam purusham mahantam. How could he declare everybody to be the children of immortality? All to be the children of immortality? Because he says, I have known that great Purusha, Purusham Mahantam. That is why I sang this. I have known that Purusham Mahantam, Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Brilliant like 1,000 suns, brilliant like the sun. It is not like the sun, it is beyond that. Sun's brilliance has to be seen with the eyes. But this is the revealer of the sun also. This is the ultimate brilliance, the last brilliance, the ultimate brilliance. I have known that beyond darkness means darkness of ignorance. The ignorance which has covered our real identity, for which we are suffering in the world. We are becoming selfish, we are running after things, we are running away from things, we are killing each other. All because we have lost that memory of our real self. We have lost our identity. I have known that Mahantam Purusham, going beyond, transcending the ignorance. Tameva viditva atimrityumeti. By knowing him alone, one can transcend death. Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way one can transcend death and mortality. By knowing him alone, you can transcend death, transcend the mortality. So that is what they are trying to put everywhere. Mahantam Vibhum. Vibhum, as I said, that who has become all, who has become the whole universe. So he is beyond form. Vibhum means all forms. So he has to be beyond forms, transcending all forms. Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam. But that is the Atma for us. That is the Aham Pratyaya Gocharaha. You don't have to look for him here and there at all. Just look within, getting rid of the tendency and the habit to look for something else. This is very important. The moment we look, we get rid of the habit to look for something other than me, you will be able to know what I am. We are not knowing because our habit is to go out and see. Mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhiro na shochati. A dhiraha, a wise person, after knowing this, he never grieves at all. Na shochati. See, this we are not able to see that. Our Kathopanishad says, Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Where lies the immortality? When we know this truth in every perception. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. We become immortal when we find that truth in every perception. Not only every perception, no perception also. In sleep or unconsciousness also, when there is no perception, there also the truth is there to reveal that no signal state. Reveal that zero state. It is there also. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Only when we know it, we will know that we are changeless. We are not touched by anything changeful in the world at all. Ashariram sharireshu
अशरीरं शरीरेषु
अनवस्थेष्वस्थितम्
अनवस्थेष्वस्थितं
महान्तं विभुमात्मानं
महान्तं विभुमात्मानं
मत्वा धीरो न शोचति.
मत्वा धीरो न शोचति.
See, try to understand that when I am seeing this microphone, say, is it not that the consciousness is revealing the microphone, then only I am seeing it. It is external, I am touching it, everything, but this externality is revealed by the consciousness, then only I am knowing it. I am knowing it from the consciousness. Now, in seeing it, the moment we see it, our focus is on the microphone, but not on the revealer consciousness. Is it not? So we are missing the consciousness which reveals the microphone. Actually, the microphone is written in the consciousness, but we miss the consciousness because our focus is on small. We are not interested in anything all-pervading or great. We are always interested in gaining something small, small, small. That is why one has to become desireless. I am telling you the real crux of the matter. That why a person full of desire is not able to actualize it. Because our desire will always make us look for the small things. Similarly, the moment a thought is revealed, suppose a thought has come, a good thought has come, a bad thought has come, is it not revealed by the consciousness? But the moment the thought is revealed, our focus is on the thought. Office's thought, mother's thought, enemy's thought, friend's thought. The focus is friend, enemy, mother. So the revealer consciousness is being missed. Because the consciousness is taking the form of the fragmented object, internal or external, subtle or gross, that object which is being revealed by it. It is taking the form. Now suppose there is nothing for the consciousness to reveal. Nothing is there. So the consciousness will not become small in revealing a small thing. Nothing is there to reveal. Then it will reveal itself. That is why we have to forget the whole world, including our own identity, the small identity, the egoistic identity. That also has to be forgotten. When nothing is revealed by the consciousness, it will reveal itself. This is the technology or the crux of the matter. But it won't happen unless until we get rid of our tendency to look for something. I said that we suffer from an insufficiency. First day I was saying insufficiency from birth. There is an abhava bodha. That is why we always look for happiness, Is it not? That is why we call it desire. The desire to become happy. Whatever we do, we may do this, may do that, even we may sacrifice our life also, but to become happy. That thinking that it will make me happy. We are looking for happiness. Now when this tendency to look for happiness outside goes and we start looking inside, then actually the desires are replaced by mumukshutva. This is the meaning of mumukshutva. Mumukshutva means the yearning to get liberated from the smallness, yearning to get liberated from the ego, yearning to get liberated from the selfishness, gain, all these things. So what happens is that the desire for external things to become happy, when we understand that nothing in the world is going to make happy, that understanding is not difficult, but we refuse to think. That is why the understanding doesn't dawn. When that understanding is clear that nothing in the world is going to make me permanently happy, then leaving this tendency, we start looking within. That is the mumukshutva, or the yearning for liberation. And that moves us till we discover the source of the joy, the substratum of the joy, the ultimate reality. Then we don't look for joy anymore from outside by doing anything, but we do everything out of joy, not looking for joy at the end of the work. We do everything out of joy. Whatever comes, we do. Whatever we can do, we do. That is why Bhagavad Gita repeatedly says, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. Such a person, what does he do? Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha. He remains in the welfare of everybody. He wants that everybody should become like that. They should become happy. They should have the prasada. This is what they want. Om Sahana Vavatu.
Om Sahana Vavatu.
Sahano Bhunaktu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Hari.